Today we're going to be reviewing the parts of a circle as well as looking at the formula for solving for the area of a circle. If you recall, the parts of a circle include the diameter, which goes from one point on the circle to the other side of the circle, crossing through the center. The radius is half the diameter. It starts at the center and goes to any point on the outside of the circle. 2 times the radius is equal to the diameter. The diameter is equal to 2 times r. Or we could say half of the diameter equals the radius. Radius equals diameter divided by 2. Circumference is the distance around the circle. Circumference is like the perimeter of a polygon. It's a one-dimensional measurement. Circumference is only measuring the length around the outside of the circle. The area is not the same as circumference. The area is the inside of a circle, and it's measured in square units. As you can see, it includes the length and width of the circle. It looks at the inside space, and it is a two-dimensional measurement. Because area is defined as the inside space measured in 2 dimensions, measured in square units, we can easily see how the area for a rectangle is found. We can clearly see from this drawing that when a rectangle is divided into a length of 3 centimeters and a width of 4 centimeters, we are given 12 square centimeters. However, when we look at a circle, it is clear to see that this area is not easily found. Each square is not clearly defined. Some squares are pieces of a square. Therefore, mathematicians looked at the relationship between radius, diameter, and circumference to find a formula for area of a circle. Where does the equation for area come from? Please watch the area equals pi r squared, or pi times r. We can start to solve for area. So the first step is always to write the formula. Step 2 is to substitute the value for the radius into the equation. Don't forget that if you're given a diameter, you have to divide it by 2 before substituting, because the diameter is equal to 2 times the radius, or the radius is half the diameter. We can use our calculator next to multiply 3.14 times the radius times the radius. Because area is 2 dimensions, don't forget to label our answers with units squared. The 2 on the units squared represents that this is a 2-dimensional measurement, measured in squares. In example 1, to find the area, we see that the radius of this circle equals 4 centimeters. For step 1, we write down the formula. Area equals pi r squared, or pi times r times r. Step 2 is to substitute the value for the radius. In step 3, we multiply 3.14 times 4 squared, which is 4 times 4, or 16, and we find an answer of 50.24. The fourth step is to label our answer, 50.24 centimeters squared. Don't forget to label it with square units since area is a 2-dimensional measurement. This next example shows that they have given us the diameter. To solve for the area, however, we need the radius. So we divide 10 by 2 and notice that the radius is equal to 5 millimeters. Step 1, we write the formula, pi times r times r. We substitute 3.14, 5 times 5. Now we solve. 3.14 times 5 squared, which is 25, equals 78.75, and label it with units squared, millimeters squared. So far we have learned 2 formulas for a circle. The first one we talked about yesterday, the circumference equals pi d, or 2 times pi times r, since diameter is the same thing as 2 times the radius. The other formula that we learned is the formula for the area, which we learned today. Area equals pi r squared, or pi times r times r. In other words, the area. There are two things that help me remember the formula for the area. First of all, the area has the radius to solve the problem. So if we want to remember which one is the formula for the area, remember it's pi r squared. Pi times r. Another way to help us remember the formula for area is to notice that this formula has squared units. Pi r squared reminds us that we are solving for the number of squares found inside the circle, and area is always to find the number of squared units. So a summary of today's lesson shows us that we've talked about again the parts of a circle: radius, diameter, circumference, and that we can also solve for the inside measure of the circle, finding the area of the circle using the formula pi r squared. Area equals 3.14 times radius times radius. This is why I sometimes call it the area, because we need to use r or the radius to solve for the area. Thank you and have a good day.